Good morning, Dan and Amy. Fascinating book review in the Wall Street Journal. A book I've got to pick up now. It's called When Crime Pays. It is written by a political scientist at the Carnegie Endowment, and it's about India, about a corrupt caste system. So, of course, it has immediate applicability to Chicago and Illinois. When Crime Pays asks the question about India. Mm-hmm. Why do decent people elect flagrantly indecent representatives? And the author, his thesis is that it's not that voters are uninformed. In fact, they're amply informed about their state and about the candidates. He suggests that what is actually happening is that when the state fails to provide equitable access to housing, justice, jobs, services, etc., as is the case in India, and as is the case in Chicago, and as is the case in Illinois, criminals acquire unique advantages as politicians. They can flaunt their rough edges as proof that they will fight for their constituents, that they alone can help the downtrodden navigate a broken system. And because most of them actually do have some experience subverting the system in one way or the other, they can deliver. Once in office, the wells get dug, they resolve disputes with bureaucrats and the police, they take good care of widows and the jobless, and sometimes they become spectacularly rich in the process. That's a description of India.
It sounds a lot like something we're living right now.
Don't you think? So When Crime Pays is the book, Why Good People Elect Bad People. If that's the answer of why people elect crooks, what can be done to remove crooks from office, people that are not so inclined to be supportive? Two gentlemen from East Central Illinois, Edgar County to be specific, may just have the answer. They're the Edgar County Watchdogs, and they have gathered national attention for the work they've done to essentially investigate and force out corrupt politicians. Some 185 public officials in Illinois who've resigned or chose not to seek re-election after they have come into the sights of the Edgar County Watchdogs. What are they doing, and how can we scale it?
And can they come to Chicago?
Well, exactly. Well, let's talk to them about that.
Start off with an internship and maybe move on?
This was an organization founded just about 6 years ago. The founder, Kirk Allen, joins us now. Kirk, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate being on with you.
And I should mention your partner in Uncrime, John Kraft, as well from Edgar County, been instrumental in the work you guys have done. So give us just the story of the genesis of the Edgar County Watchdogs and how it is that you've been so successful focusing on public officials doing wrong, whether illegal or just unethical, and forcing them out.
Well, I think our biggest success is based on the fact we focus strictly on the laws that apply to that public body. And we're finding that even the attorneys representing these public bodies, in a lot of cases, don't even read the law or apply those laws. And when we start doing that, we find that, they're completely out of compliance with what they're supposed to be doing. And when you start to bring them in check and write articles about them and expose what they're doing, they don't like that. So after, enough pressure, they typically go away. When the sun shines on them, it definitely has an impact.
Can you give us an example of one politician that you did a story on that caused him to not run anymore or drop out?
Well, we've got probably right here in our own county was one that, when we first started, a lot of folks said that this was, nothing but a partisan organization. And our county board had flipped from Democrat to Republican, and our county chairman was Republican. And we exposed the wrongdoing and the self-dealing, and 7 months after that pressure was brought to him, the Department of Transportation froze all money to the county because of the conflict, and he resigned because of it, because they basically shut down our entire highway operation because this chairman was insistent that he was going to stay in that capacity and insisted that his ready-mix concrete company was going to sell concrete to the county. Ooh. And, everybody was upset that, he's a Republican. Well, I don't care. We don't care what party they're from. And that's why this works so well is we've outed as many Republicans as Democrats and vice versa.
Well, you and John Kraft, you guys are not professional investigators by trade, not law enforcement background. So, how do you go about, piecing these bad deals and bad actors together, and making the case that ultimately puts them under larger scrutiny?
Well, both of us have a military background, and we read a lot. And through that process, I personally use a concept of says who with what proof. A lot of times these lawyers will tell us things. They'll tell us something, but they're not thinking you're going to go back and check to see if what they said is actually true. We've got a case down here. We removed an entire electoral board for a conflict, which requires a chief judge to appoint them. And the chief judge did the appointment, but then he went a step further and he appointed a legal counsel that he wanted for the electoral board. And there's nothing in the statute that addresses that. And, we're still fighting that one. That's a current issue that, we went through the electoral process and the people got to stay on the ballot, but this attorney was appointed outside the scope of the law. And we read the law and apply it. It's not real hard, but most of them just aren't applying it.
Wow, it's fascinating stuff. So, Kirk Allen, what made you decide to start the Edgar County Watchdogs? I mean, was there one incident that you thought, I've had enough of this, and I'm going to do something about it?
For me, I'm a local fire chief, volunteer chief, and an EMT, and we had a call for an 11-day-old baby not breathing. And in this industry, we risk little to save little, risk a lot to save a lot. And as a volunteer, I'm driving, roughly 100 miles an hour to get to the ambulance. It's an 11-day-old baby not breathing. Long story short, it was a 16-year-old mother in government housing, no parental, insights whatsoever. We get there, the baby was screaming bloody murder. So if he's screaming, he's breathing. Everything was good. Mm-hmm. He was in a blue nightie under the lights, the fluorescent lights. He had a blue tint to him, and she thought that he was suffocating. And when I questioned our dispatchers as to why they didn't initiate infant CPR over the phone, which would have included questions to confirm the child was just fine, they told me they don't do that. And when I went to the director and asked, are they certified, they told me they're all trained. I didn't ask if they were trained. I asked if they were certified. Come to find out, they had not been certified for over 6 years. Their license comes from the Illinois Department of Public Health. So they tried to blame the Department of Public Health, which that doesn't work because they notify us 60 days before our licenses expire. And long story short, they weren't certified to dispatch medical calls, and we later found out the entire 911 center had never been licensed.
Wow.
That's
amazing stuff.
This should be a reality TV show. I mean, it's like Columbo. You just continue asking questions. I love this idea that it all basically comes down to says who and what proof. And if you just keep asking that question, it just takes you from one spot to the other, one claim to the next claim. It's very interesting and so simple, but of course it takes a lot of legwork and a lot of diligence and a lot of stick-to-itiveness. And I wonder if I mentioned 185 officials. What is the scope of your work? How are you trying, if you are, to expand beyond what you and John Kraft can do as two guys and get other people to basically do the same things that you're doing? Because there's no real magic to it. It's just the diligence you're describing.
Well, currently we've helped several other groups that have started around the state. Morgan County Watchdog started a little over 2 years ago. They're just focusing there in their little community of South Jacksonville, and I believe they're up to around 10 public officials that have fled office after being exposed to wrongdoing. The model is pretty simple, and our goal now, we've started a C3 nonprofit, and the name is the American Watchdogs. And our long-term goal is to set up a chapter in all 50 states, and that organization will be the training hub to teach people how to do what we're doing at the Edgar County Watchdog level.
And for people who want more information on what you're doing, maybe they want to start a chapter, I don't know, in Cook County, for example. It's IllinoisLeaks.com is the website to go to?
That's correct.
IllinoisLeaks.com. Kirk Allen, John Kraft, co-founders of the Edgar County Watchdogs. Kirk, thanks for joining us. Great work. Fun stuff.
Thank you so much. I appreciate being on.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.